It's getting messy on the roads tonight. Environment Canada is warning of potentially dangerous travel conditions across much of the GTA as freezing rain moves into the region. If you're south of the 401, you should avoid the worst of it. But north of the city, we could see up to 2 millimeters of ice buildup and potential power outages. Let's bring in meteorologist Ross Hull with more on what we can expect tonight. Ross?
Hi, Kevin. Well, as this next system travels in, it's going to be all dependent on where you are in terms of the type of precipitation you see. If you're close to the lakeshore, downtown Toronto, this is a rain event certainly to start. Could be some mixing later tonight. It's as you head north of the 401 and the 407 and north especially, where we could start to see some turnover to some freezing rain and a mix of precipitation. Northern York, northern Durham. As you head farther east into Ontario, Peterborough, even the Kingston areas, temperatures start to slide below the freezing mark. We've got warm air aloft, but at the surface, temperatures start to drop below freezing, and that's when you see that super cooled water and that potential for freezing rain. It's starting off as rain, though, for the downtown, even along the 401. It's areas, though, farther north, towards the 407 and north that have the better chance of seeing some mixing. But even along the 401 later tonight, as temperatures drop to near freezing or below, there is the risk of freezing rain. And again, as this precipitation pushes in towards eastern Ontario as well. So we've got the freezing rain warning for northern Durham, southern Durham even, and through Peterborough, the southern Kawarthas, through the Kingston area. 2 to 4 millimeters of ice buildup this evening. Not an ice storm, but enough to make things slippery. And you can see the special weather statement in place for Toronto, areas towards the north and west for that potential for some mixing. And there's a special weather statement right along the Ottawa Valley, northeastern Ontario towards Ottawa for 10 plus centimeters of snow. Now, in terms of the winds, they've been out of the east. They're going to pick up out of the southwest tomorrow. That will kick up the lake effect machine. There's a snow squall watch for the Bruce Peninsula. Temperatures are marginal, just above that freezing mark, but we're expecting them to start dropping through the overnight, thus the potential for some mixing. I'll detail the system and what to expect into next week in your full forecast coming up.
Thanks, Ross. All right, we got meteorologist Ross Hull here for our forecast. And listen, it's been up and down. It's mild right now. I can't believe it's going to stay like that.
Yeah, you know, not one pattern stays in place, so it's kind of difficult to know what's coming next. I guess that's my job, right?
Right, yes.
Yeah. Is to explain what's coming next, but what I can guarantee is, well, whatever you're experiencing now will likely change in the coming days. Let's take a look at your forecast conditions for tomorrow. So expect a much colder day tomorrow. In fact, as northwest winds pick up, we're looking at wind chills approaching -5 to -10 heading in towards tomorrow evening. The bulk of the precipitation, that mix possible for some areas, will happen through this evening, much of it easing by tomorrow morning, but then there is the chance of some flurries as the lake effect machine starts up again for areas around the snow belts. So that is something to keep in mind. But we could squeeze out a few sunny breaks at times through the late afternoon hours. All right, so temperatures across the country, across the continent, you can see there's some mild air out west, reached the double digits today in Calgary, but there is some cold air over northern Ontario, northern and central Quebec, and that is what is rushing in the wake of this system after a pretty mild stretch. And yes, we've been connecting with some Gulf moisture, some Gulf warmth, but some of that Arctic air or modified Arctic air is going to move back in as we move through tonight. Now, as we take a look at what's happening, we've seen the rain push in to the Toronto area, parts of southwestern Ontario, heavier snow, or at least some snow falling as you head north, and that will be the case as you head north away from the water this evening. There's a better chance of a turnover to some freezing rain, and then even farther north, snow. But a lot of the activity should start to ease through this evening. That's what we are expecting, but still going to be a little messy. And then we get into the flurries at times, lake effect snow possible off of Lake Huron and Georgian Bay. And some of those flurries could push towards the Toronto area at times too. And then a relatively weak system pushes through the Bruce Peninsula east of Georgian Bay to eastern Ontario come Monday, bringing a dusting of snow, nothing too heavy. And then we'll start to see temperatures actually rise ahead of this system on Tuesday, which actually could bring some showers. But in terms of the rainfall, over the next few hours, we're looking at 5 to 10 millimeters of rain. And again, some accumulating snow, northern GTA, around the escarpment, Kitchener, but the heavier snow up through northeastern Ontario and the Ottawa area. Okay, so here's a look at your forecast conditions tonight. Temperatures starting to drop. That risk of some freezing rain and some slippery conditions, especially by tomorrow morning as that water freezes. For tomorrow, we're hovering around freezing in Toronto, breezy northwesterly winds as temperatures drop tomorrow evening, though that wind chill will be on the low side. We're looking at wind chills approaching the minus double digits, as I mentioned. So here's a look at your forecast conditions. We're back up to 2 degrees on Monday. Could be a mix again, but likely wet weather as temperatures rise Tuesday and Wednesday, and then a big drop as we head towards Thursday and the end of next week. And that's a look at your forecast.
Isn't just on the rink this evening with freezing rain leading to some slippery conditions out there, mostly impacting those north of the 401. For more on your local forecast overnight and into tomorrow, let's check in now with meteorologist Ross Hall. Hey, Ross.
Hi, Kevin. Well, we did see some rain push into the GTA earlier this evening, some mixing for some areas as well. The bulk of that precipitation is pushed towards the east, eastern Ontario, the Ottawa area, Kingston. Well, Ottawa into some snow farther south towards Kingston. It's the potential for a mix of precipitation. But the worst is over for the GTA, but we're looking out for some squalls around the snow belts off of Lake Huron and Georgian Bay. Those will develop into Sunday morning. That could bring a few flurries to the GTA by tomorrow. And yes, temperatures will be dropping to near freezing or below overnight, so any standing water will likely freeze. Special weather statement still in place for North Bay stretching towards Ottawa. Snowfall totals will be in the 10 to 15 centimeter range. And yes, that potential for freezing rain over portions of eastern Ontario tonight. That will start to ease, though, over the next few hours as we head into the early morning hours on Sunday. Winds relatively calm. They will pick up out of the northwest, though, tomorrow. And as those winds pick up, there is the potential for squalls off of Lake Huron and Georgian Bay. Snow squall watch in place. Totals could be near 10 centimeters Sunday morning into the afternoon. Temperatures, again, have been hovering around freezing. Obviously, what type of precipitation you experience was temperature dependent, but through the overnight, I expect those temperatures to start to drop to below the freezing mark, thus making things a little slippery for Sunday. I'll show you what to expect for the rest of the weekend into the work week and your full forecast coming up.
Thanks, Ross. All right, we got our Sky Tracker forecast with meteorologist Ross Hall. And Ross, it just feels like winter is toying with us.
Yes, you never know where winter's at. Mild conditions, turn to cold, back over to mild. But of course, I've got to do the deep dive. I've got to figure out where winter is at this point. And
where you go, we follow.
Yeah, exactly. So let's take a look at those forecast conditions, your hour by hour for Sunday. So temperatures are below the freezing mark by tomorrow morning, so keep that in mind. Any precipitation, any standing water will be frozen, and you can see temperatures dropping off pretty dramatically as we move through the afternoon, or at least certainly not rising throughout the day, and along with breezy northwesterly winds developing, which could gust up to near 60 kilometers per hour. That wind chill will be approaching the minus double digits by tomorrow night. There's also the chance of a few flurries moving around the GTA, but the better chance up through the snow belts Sunday morning into the afternoon. Okay, so mild conditions out west. We do have an area of colder air that is moving into the Great Lakes after a relatively mild pattern, and you can see the trough in place. That represents that colder air. We've been under the influence of, some Gulf moisture, some warmth from the southeast U.S., and it's going to be back and forth this week, so we'll get into some milder weather as the week progresses. It's just tomorrow, and as we head into Monday, it will be a colder day, or at least tomorrow will. You can see much of the precipitation is pushed out of the GTA. We're starting to see some snow around the snow belts, and that will develop into Sunday morning. Still a bit of a mix and some snow at times for eastern sections of Ontario tonight, but much of that will start to ease as we head into Sunday morning. And then it's the lake effect squalls that we're watching out for off of Georgian Bay and Lake Huron. And then relatively quiet, as we head through Sunday night, but then Monday Monday morning into the afternoon around the Bruce Peninsula, east of Georgian Bay, parts of eastern Ontario could get into more light snow. Another system moves in on Tuesday. We'll have to see, but it looks like it will be mild enough for some rain, maybe some snow over higher terrain around the escarpment, for instance, on Tuesday, but the potential for heavier snow as you head north and east. In terms of the snowfall, we are done with the heaviest snow around the GTA. It's just lake effect snow that we'll be dealing with around the snow belts, and perhaps another 5 or so centimeters around Ottawa over the next few hours. So that's what the situation is with this system. It's a lot of snow in a short period of time, and it's wet snow too, so not the easiest to shovel. Tonight we are starting to drop below freezing in Toronto, and then for tomorrow we may get up to just above the freezing mark briefly, but as we move through the day, temperatures will start to drop. And here's a look at some other communities around the Golden Horseshoe in terms of the daytime highs. So near freezing on Sunday, 2 on Monday, and then we see temperatures rise to 4 on Tuesday with the possibility of some showers. Could be a mix on Wednesday, and then a pretty dramatic temperature drop Thursday into Friday of next week. And that's a look at your forecast.